I nurtured a little demon with my own blood, helping my husband build his power within the Jiang Corporation. Little did I know, it wasn't long before he and his mother threw me out, simply because I couldn't bear children. What they forgot, however, was that nurturing a little demon is easy, getting rid of it is another matter entirely. My husband had already left for work, leaving me bored and alone at home. I wanted to meet up with friends, get some fresh air, and incidentally, ask about the little demon. This creature was consuming more and more blood each day. I was reaching my breaking point. As I was changing my shoes by the door, a gloomy voice drifted from behind me. "Ms. Jiang, are you going out?" I glanced over. Aunt Wang, the maid, was staring at me with an unfriendly gaze, holding a bowl of oddly colored medicine. My brows furrowed slightly. Not again. All this time, my mother-in-law had been digging up some obscure family remedies, brewing medicine for me every single day. She claimed it was to help me bear a grandchild, an heir for the Jiang family. Seeing the impatience on my face, Aunt Wang thrust the bowl directly under my nose. "Ms. Jiang, Madam told me to watch you until you've finished all the medicine." I turned my head away. "Aunt Wang, I need to go out now. This medicine gives me a stomachache. How can I go anywhere like this?" Before the maid could retort, the telltale shuffle of slippers echoed through the house. My mother-in-law was approaching. She grumbled, "If I tell you to drink it, just drink it. After so many years, you still haven't produced an heir. Haven't you considered that the problem might be with ***?" Her voice grew increasingly low, and the words that followed were barely audible, but I didn't bother listening. Because she was right. My inability to conceive * was the problem. It was because I had used all my good fortune to nurture the little demon, exchanging it for her son, Ethan Jiang's, prosperity. Without me, how could his small trading company have transformed into a major enterprise in just a few years? How could his Jiang family have become a so-called prestigious clan, able to afford a villa in this famous, affluent neighborhood? It was truly ironic that my mother-in-law genuinely believed all these achievements were her son's doing. Seeing my silence, she immediately changed her tone. "Zioya, listen to your mother. How could I ever harm you? This is 100 family placenta. I had to specially arrange for someone to buy it from the countryside. They say it's excellent for health, guaranteeing you 2 children in 3 years." From somewhere, she produced a pair of chopsticks, snatched the bowl from Aunt Wang, and stirred the dark concoction, pulling up a hard, lumpy object. It looked like something coiled up, exactly like a dead, hairless rat. My stomach lurched. I hastily covered my mouth and turned my head away. "What is that?" My mother-in-law, her face stern, advanced towards me. I finished putting on my shoes, backing away, then reached for the cold doorknob of the main door and forcefully flung it open. Standing outside was a woman, her hand raised, ready to knock. She jumped back in surprise when I opened the door so abruptly. Her face was utterly astonished as she looked at me. I stared back, captivated by her visibly pregnant belly. The woman spoke in a local dialect, glaring at me before her eyes shifted towards my mother-in-law. "Auntie, I'm here." My mother-in-law set the bowl down, pushed me aside, and took the woman's hand, ushering her into the house. "Oh, Fiona, you're here. Come in, dear, it's hot outside." I watched the scene unfold with profound skepticism, unable to regain my composure. After so many years of marriage, my mother-in-law had never once shown such a gentle expression when speaking to me. Who was this woman? I closed the door, watching them hand in hand. "Mother, who is this woman?" My mother-in-law paused, patted the woman's hand, instructed Aunt Wang to take her to the living room to rest, then turned to face me. Her expression instantly changed, morphing into a fawning, solicitous look. "Even though I don't know this woman, I know the baby in her womb because it is our Jiang family's flesh and blood." I let out a sneering laugh. Wonderful. The mistress, brazenly parading her pregnancy, confidently walking right into my home. Ignoring my mother-in-law, I quickly pulled out my phone and made a call. "Ethan Jiang, the woman carrying your child just showed up at our door. If you don't get back here and explain yourself right now, I swear I'll turn your company upside down." I hung up, turning to find my mother-in-law glaring at me with furious eyes. "Why didn't you listen to me? Why call Ethan? Aren't you afraid of affecting his work? What are you so worried about? You two are married, this woman is about to give birth. I'll just give her some money and tell her to go somewhere else on her own. Can't you even accept a baby?" The woman, Fiona, was sitting far away, enjoying Aunt Wang's respectful service. I didn't know if she heard these words, but hearing them myself, I felt the utter callousness of people's hearts. My brows furrowed slightly, a dizziness washing over me. I no longer wanted to go out. Mother, are you playing some kind of surrogate drama from a TV show? If your husband brought another woman home, how would you feel? My mother-in-law seemed to choke, sputtering. Don't use me as an example. I'm not like some people. After so many years, still unable to bear a child. I didn't care to listen anymore, so I walked around her and went inside. My mother-in-law continued to curse from outside. Perhaps she got tired of it. After 10 minutes, I no longer heard her voice. I lay on the bed, thinking about all my sacrifices over the years. It was truly laughable. A loud crash. The front door was violently flung open. Hearing the commotion, I quickly opened my door and ran downstairs. My husband stood in the doorway, staring at the two women on the sofa. At that moment, they looked like mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I watched him intently, not wanting to miss a single expression. I saw his facial muscles visibly relax as he looked at Fiona, only to be laced with a hint of panic when his gaze met mine. What's wrong? Afraid I'll make trouble for your pregnant lady? I slowly descended the stairs. My mother-in-law's hand, holding some fruit, paused momentarily before she resumed as if she hadn't seen me. Fiona, have some more grapes. Ethan bought these. They're imported, full of nutrients, and definitely good for the baby. I looked at the purplish-pink grapes in her hand, each bunch costing over 10,000. I couldn't even bring myself to eat them, yet that woman sat there casually, leaning back, biting into them piece by piece, grape juice splattering from her mouth and onto the sofa cushion. I looked at the man standing there. Ethan Jiang, do you have anything to explain? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Zayaoya, I'm sorry, let's get a divorce. In today's internet slang, this is called being on the verge of breaking up. In my case, it suddenly transformed into being on the verge of divorce. Just this morning, when I saw him off to work, he was still honeying and dearesting me, promising to take me out for a wonderful dinner tonight. How had it come to this? I forced myself to stay calm, my voice cold. Ethan Jiang, I built this family with you from nothing, and now, after finding a mistress, you want to discard me. My mother-in-law shot up from her seat. Zaya Oya, don't think for a moment I don't know what schemes you're plotting. After so many years of marriage, don't you feel guilty towards the Jiang family? It's heaven's mercy that an old woman like me can finally have a blood grandchild in my old age. I'm telling you, while my son is still calm enough to talk to you, get that divorce quickly. As for anything else, you won't get a single penny. My mother-in-law, fearing I'd demand money, launched into a furious tirade. I merely smiled in response. Mother, those words of yours are wrong, aren't they? Ethan Jiang and I are married. His money is our marital common property, so after the divorce, everything must be split in half for me. Hearing this, all their faces changed. Fiona even put on a tearful act. Everyone, please don't argue anymore. It's all my fault. If I had known it would come to this, I wouldn't have sought out Ethan and Auntie. I'll just abort this baby. My mother-in-law slammed her hand on the table. Who dares tell my daughter-in-law to abort my grandchild? They'll have to step over my dead body first. How impressive. In such a short time, the mistress had, step by step, become the legitimate daughter-in-law, acknowledged by the mother-in-law herself. I turned back to Ethan Jiang, who remained silent. Are you going to stop playing deaf and dumb? Who exactly is this woman? And is the child in her womb yours? Ethan Jiang spoke vaguely. It took me a long time to understand that this woman was his junior from college, or, to be precise, *R* junior. Then I heard about their 7-year-long secret affair. Ethan Jiang meandered for a while, then stared at me and said, Zayaoya, I know this isn't fair to you, but I genuinely don't love you anymore. If I truly still loved you, I wouldn't have been swayed by her. I struggled to keep myself from collapsing. Just as I was about to speak, Fiona, sitting on the sofa, got up, clutching her belly, and looked at me unblinkingly. Sister, I'm sorry to you, and I'm sorry to Ethan. I never meant to destroy your family, but I'm pregnant. My child can't grow up without a complete family. Please just see this as doing a good deed. Her face grew increasingly pitiful, a stark contrast to my own arrogant, unfeminine demeanor. Ethan Jiang, hearing her words, adopted a pained expression. I looked at her and suddenly scoffed. So young, can't do anything but steal other people's husbands. Don't call me sister. I don't have a promiscuous, ill-bred sister like you. Fiona, her face reddening with shame from my rebuke, then darkened. Finally, she lowered her head and muttered, Some people can't even get their own husbands to pity them, yet they ask others for pity. How truly pathetic. I walked forward in my high heels, stopping directly in front of her and tilted my head to look at her. Exactly. Because not everyone has the right to be a decent human being. If you don't accumulate some virtue for your child now, who knows what kind of creature will be born later. My mother-in-law, who had been sitting quietly, suddenly stood up. She swung her hand to slap me, but I dodged. Zai Oya, I think our family has given you too much face. How dare you curse my grandchild? Get out of my house right now. I was a grown woman, not even my own parents had ever laid a finger on me, yet this old hag dared to strike me. I was about to retaliate, but as my arm went up, it was firmly grabbed. Ethan Jiang frowned at me. Zai Oya, haven't you caused enough trouble? Don't you understand? I don't love you anymore, I want a divorce. I had never seen such coldness in his eyes. I turned and slapped Ethan Jiang directly across the face. I can't hit her, but I can hit you asterisk. You want a divorce? I agree. The house and cars are mine. As for you, get out of this house with nothing but the clothes on your back. Otherwise, I'll press charges against your mother for intentional assault. You wouldn't want your child's grandmother to be in a police station before they're even born, would you? My mother-in-law immediately panicked. I only tapped her, I didn't hit anywhere vital. What intentional assault? I turned and smiled at her, but now I feel dizzy, my heart is racing. I need to get checked to know the severity of it. Before I could finish, Ethan Jiang readily agreed. We've been married for so many years, wouldn't it be better if we all saved face? Let's sign the papers this afternoon. My family will move out tomorrow. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. That quickly? My family already, huh? I nodded. That's for the best. I turned to leave, then noticed Aunt Wang peeking from the kitchen, looking at me with disdain. I pointed towards the kitchen and turned back. And another thing, take your Jiang family's dog with you when you leave. From today onwards, this house belongs to the Zai family. A while later, when I had calmed down, I went to my room and locked the door. I could hear the noisy conversations outside the door. My mother-in-law cursing me, Fiona trying to persuade Ethan Jiang not to move out, and Aunt Wang asking where they would go. I burst out laughing, then walked straight to the painting hanging on my bedroom wall, took it down, and pressed a switch behind it. There was a faint rumbling sound of movement, but it wasn't clear. The wall was moving, revealing a dark tunnel before my eyes. Without hesitation, I stepped inside. This was my own secret place, a forbidden sanctuary that even Ethan Jiang knew nothing about. Beyond the tunnel, a small room appeared, bare of furniture, but containing an altar to a mysterious golden asterisk human thong, Thai child spirit. My friend had given it to me after her trip to Thailand. She had taken my hair, nails, and birth chart there to create a little demon specifically for me. In the flickering candlelight, I looked with longing at the vibrant child spirit. Ethan Jiang had never known such a place existed. He had never known that all the wealth and fame he now possessed were secretly orchestrated by me from behind the scenes. Therefore, the one who should enjoy all this money and status, all the glory, should be me asterisk. My friend said that the creator of the little demon told her I was naturally destined for wealth and didn't need this kind of power, but my fervent wish was to achieve prosperity with my husband. I wanted to get rich alongside him, so we could be together forever. My friend had lamented my foolishness, calling me blindly in love, but I didn't see any problem with it, because it was love. When the little demon's creator gave it to my friend, she instructed her. I absolutely had asterisk to feed it blood every day, so it would feel my sincerity. So, day after day, I nourished it with my own blood. Ethan Jiang's career flourished, and because of that, I nurtured a little demon into a mother demon. The truth had proven that Ethan Jiang had been living under my shadow, that my good fortune had been transferred to him, allowing him to join the ranks of the wealthy elite. I had been willing to do it all, but now the situation was different. They had ganged up to deal with me. I touched my still aching cheek and whispered to myself, "You were cruel to me, so don't blame me for being ruthless to you." I picked up the silver knife placed on the altar, and without hesitation, slashed my arm, then dripped the blood into the small bowl before the little demon. Each word was powerful. The first cut severs all affection, the second washes away worldly ties, the third strips away all wealth, the fourth destroys all virtue. 4 sharp cuts on my arm gushed fresh blood. Strangely, not long after the 4th cut, the 4 wounds, which had been oozing blood, seemed to react and stopped bleeding on their own. I lifted my arm and examined it. 4 neat cuts, looking as if something had merely scratched me, showed no further signs of bleeding. The bowl was now full of blood. I lowered my head, the scent of blood making me involuntarily frown. But that sticky sensation was somewhat familiar. Years ago, I would always draw blood from my fingertips daily to feed the demon, but now, to quickly achieve my goal, I could only get such a quantity from my arm. Still, I had to avoid the artery. I picked up the bowl and poured some blood onto the little demon. If it could absorb it, it meant it needed blood. I watched each drop slowly seep into its form, faster and faster. I silently chanted the words in my heart, pouring more blood onto the little demon a few more times, in small sips. After being fully bathed in blood, the little demon's entire body glowed with a pinkish golden light. In this light, the creature's form was incredibly brilliant, its eyes seeming to blaze brighter. Ignoring the pain in my wrist, I knelt and bowed my head. When I looked up again, the candle on the altar had extinguished. I knew my obedient child had agreed. I carefully closed the door to that gloomy room. Turning around, I saw that night had fallen outside. As I silently emerged, I noticed a divorce agreement lying on the ground. He had signed it without hesitation. I could vaguely hear sounds of packing from outside. Fiona was shouting at Ethan Jiang. "Ethan, why aren't you taking anything? It's fine if you don't like me, but our child can't be born with nothing." Ethan Jiang irritably said, "Fiona, listen to me. I still have the company and work has been busy lately. The income isn't bad. I believe I can definitely support this family. Once my divorce is finalized, I'll marry you. Just focus on having a child for my family, okay? You don't need to worry about my affairs anymore." My mother-in-law also earnestly advised, "My dear, you don't need to worry. My savings from these past few years aren't small. You and the baby can use all of it, okay?" I crossed my arms, leaning against the wall. Wasn't this exactly like the saying, "Birds of a feather flock together"? Fiona accidentally caught sight of me and flinched. "Sister, why are you out here?" I waved the paper in my hand and said, "This is for you. The sooner you all move out tomorrow morning, the better. Don't make me an eyesore." Fiona pouted, putting on an act as if she were about to cry. "I'm sorry." I waved my hand dismissively. All right, no need to perform for me here. All 3 of you know, 4 of you. Pack your bags and get out of here quickly." Without waiting for their reactions, I tossed the divorce papers onto the ground, chin held high in triumph, and returned to my room. I slept soundly that night, no longer needing to make milk for him when he worked late, no longer needing to check on my mother-in-law's health, no longer needing to prepare various late-night snacks like yancha noodles, wontons, or congee. I, the 3-good housewife, was finally free. When I woke up the next day, my personal account had increased by over $1 million, and the house was empty. The moving company they called really did take everything they could, claiming it was all bought with their child's love. I trembled with rage and quickly called my friends to help fill the empty spaces. After bustling about all morning, everything finally looked brand new. I collapsed onto the sofa, so tired I didn't even want to move my toes. With no one else in the house, I could openly bring out the little demon to nurture. I took out all its belongings and placed it prominently in the corner of the living room. Many toys were arranged around it. I wasn't sure if I was imagining things, but the little demon seemed to grow increasingly excited. Day after day, I continued to feed it blood. But my purpose now was no longer to bring him wealth and prosperity. It was to bring him misfortune, to make him lose his love, his fortune, and all his virtue. Even if it meant injuring myself 1,800 times, I would not let him off easily. Sure enough, after 11 continuous days of bathing the little demon in blood, something finally happened. Ethan Jiang called me, desperately pleading for me to meet him at his company, even saying that if I didn't come, I wouldn't even get to see him one last time. Could the little demon's curse truly be working? I excitedly jumped out of bed and quickly hailed a taxi to find him. Only when I arrived did I realize that in just over 3 months of my absence, the company had become so dilapidated. I frowned, slowly walking inside. Everything here gave me a sense of ruin, an unsettling and eerie atmosphere. My heart swelled with excitement, urging me forward faster. The girl at the reception desk even asked me if I had an appointment, with an annoyed expression, saying otherwise I couldn't see General Manager Jiang. I simply opened my phone's interface, then our chat history, where the words ex-husband were clearly visible at the top. I smiled indifferently. "Girl, I'm General Manager Jiang's ex-wife. He wants to see me about something. Do I still need an appointment?" The young girl was at a loss for words. I didn't want to make things difficult for her, so I just shook my head and went upstairs. She called after me, but I ignored her. As I stepped into the elevator, it suddenly dropped for a moment. I gripped the handrail tightly to keep myself upright. Inwardly, I cursed Ethan Jiang, thinking how he had managed to run such a good company into a ghostly shadow of its former self. When I reached his office door, I kicked it open and walked in. Ethan Jiang frowned, looking trapped, staring at the pile of documents before him. I leaned against the doorframe. "Why are you looking for me?" He froze, then looked up at me, taking 3 steps as if to embrace me, but I took half a step back. "Say what you need to say, don't touch me. Be careful, I might sue you for harassment." Ethan Jiang gave a bitter smile. "Does it have to be like this, Zaioya?" I sat upright on the guest chair, crossing my legs. "When your mother slapped me, why didn't you call me Zaioya? When you stopped me, afraid I'd hit them, why didn't you call me Zaioya? Now that you're in trouble, you suddenly start calling me Zaioya." Ethan Jiang, seemingly unable to help himself, sat down not far from me. "Something's happened at home. I want to ask to borrow some money from you." I spread my hand open, as if I'd heard a joke. "Brother, what I'm entitled to after our divorce is half of your assets, not half of your troubles. Besides, didn't you all clean out everything when you moved out? I thought at that point, our ties were completely severed. Why are you thinking of me now?" Ethan Jiang's handsome face darkened slightly. Finally, he just sighed. "The company is losing money, our mother is sick, and Fiona's child isn't well either." I found this incredibly amusing. "Firstly, that's your mother, not our mother. My mother is perfectly healthy, so please don't curse her. Secondly, whether Fiona's child is well or not, what does that have to do with me? Even if she gives birth to that baby, it's your child, Ethan Jiang. Ultimately, what you're saying is exactly what I love to hear." I raised my eyebrows, a triumphant smile spreading across my face. Indeed, seeing an old flame in such dire straits brought immense satisfaction. Ethan Jiang shook his head. "I can't explain everything to you right now. Please, will you come home with me?" I defensively moved a little further away from him. "Ethan Jiang, you're not planning to silence me, are you?" He gave a bitter laugh. "I just want you to see the situation at home." I picked up my handbag and stood. He reached out to grab my hand, but I dodged, leaving him grasping at air. My eyes widened. We were already divorced. He still wanted me to visit his mother. No matter how soft-hearted I was, I couldn't be manipulated like that. Seeing me about to leave, Ethan Jiang immediately blocked the doorway, his eyes bloodshot, his hands trembling as he pulled out a small card. "Zaioya, this was the gift you gave me on our wedding anniversary, a universal card. Now, will you please come home with me? I promise this will be the last time I bother you." I looked at the man before me, then at the card lying in his trembling hands. Memories of that wedding anniversary flooded my mind. At that time, I had just finished feeding the little demon, my face pale. I could only lie to him, saying I was on my period. So, what should have been a blissful night turned into him busy rubbing my belly, cooking black sugar tanguan glutinous rice balls, and keeping me warm. He was so busy he was covered in sweat. After midnight, he suddenly asked me, feeling a little wronged, if he deserved a gift for our anniversary. I smiled awkwardly, then ran to the table to draw him this universal card. In my memory, the foolish man held the card and smiled. Now I looked at the man before me, with bloodshot eyes, pleading with me not to leave. I simply nodded, finally agreeing. Sitting in the car, I looked into the rearview mirror and calmly asked, "If I come back with you, do they know? As the proverb says, 3 women are enough to make a play. And if I went there might very well be an all-out war." Ethan Jiang swallowed. "My affairs have nothing to do with them. Zaioya, it wasn't until I was far from you that I realized you were always the one best suited for me." I waved my hand. "All right, stop it. I'm not here to rekindle old flames with you." He reached out and turned on the music. Bruce's music filled the small space. I looked at him, slightly surprised. It had been so long since our divorce, yet the music I liked was still in his car. Should I call him an idiot or cheap? The car slowly drove to the entrance of a residential complex, but the barrier remained down. With no other choice, Ethan Jiang had to take off his vest, get out of the car, and go to explain to the security guard, but for some reason, the guard refused to let him in. Through the car window, I watched the anxious man outside, sweating profusely, my eyes filled with contempt. He chose to abandon a good life with me, determined to find this pathetic life. Oh well, isn't this what everyone chases now? True love. After a long while, Ethan Jiang poked his head back into the car, smiling sheepishly. "Zaioya, would you mind coming with me for a bit? This damned security guard absolutely refuses to open the gate for me." I unbuckled my seatbelt and immediately got out of the car. After he parked his car amidst a cluster of dilapidated vehicles and hurried towards me, I slowly walked over to him. The entire residential area consisted of old, 6-story buildings. I looked around, then coldly remarked, "Why choose to live in a place like this?" Ethan Jiang gave a bitter laugh. At first, I rented a place in a high-end complex, but who knew our family would fall on such hard times afterwards? I hummed in acknowledgement. The environment here was truly poor. Mosquitoes were everywhere, biting me so much I was about to break out in a rash. It was a struggle to even reach the apartment door. This apartment was on the first floor. Ethan Jiang took out his keys to open the door, constantly explaining, "The first floor is cool and convenient." But in our hearts, we all knew it was because a first-floor apartment was cheaper. Opening the door, a foul stench filled the room. My mother-in-law was slumped in the left corner of the sofa, while Fiona was leaning against the right side. A vast Somalia trench seemed to separate them. Hearing the door open, both women turned their heads simultaneously, but when they saw me, they were both shocked. My mother-in-law tried to get up from the sofa, but her limbs were unsteady, as if she were stuck to the chair. "Zaya," I looked around indifferently. This place truly didn't feel like a home. All the things that had been moved from my asterisk place were gone. Thinking it over, anything that could be sold for money had been sold, and anything that couldn't be sold had probably been given to partners to secure cooperation opportunities. I didn't know if this was them reaping what they sowed, or if the little demon's curse had come true. There's a saying that if you lose your wife, you lose your fortune. It turns out there's a reason for it. As for Fiona, she glanced at me, then turned away, holding her huge pregnant belly as she walked past me, not forgetting to glare at Ethan Jiang. That look was completely different from the gentle, pitiful gaze she had when she was at my house. Ethan Jiang sighed. "I brought you here to see the current situation at home, and also I hope you can lend me some money." "What, you want to fill the bottomless pit of your company?" As if knowing my thoughts, Ethan Jiang quickly shook his head. No, that's not it. I want to borrow money for Fiona. She's about to give birth, and we've agreed that once she has the child, I'll give her a sum of money and she'll leave. Don't worry, I'll definitely pay you back." "I can't get any money out right now. The company was sabotaged by a third party related to some financial issues," he rambled on, explaining to me. I just nodded as if I understood perfectly. Ethan Jiang took a deep breath. "So, can you lend me 50,000? I'll pay you back when the baby is born." I nodded. "Okay." Ethan Jiang wanted to say more, but my quick agreement caught him off guard. He froze, and even his mother-in-law looked at me with teary eyes. "I knew it, Zaya is a sensible child," I sneered. "But you'll have to write me an IOU for 100,000. How does that sound?" Ethan Jiang's face turned pale. "Why 100,000? I counted on my fingers. "I'll lend you 50,000 for the baby. The other 50,000 will be a thank you. How's that? Oh, and I hope we have nothing to do with each other ever again." Ethan Jiang gritted his teeth and nodded. "Don't worry, I've used the universal card and I've borrowed the money." "I won't bother you anymore." I generously lent him the money. He wanted to drive me back. I shook my head, speaking in a mocking tone. "No need. You wouldn't want to be blocked by the security guard at Ocean View Garden, would you? That guard is even stricter than the one at your complex." Ethan Jiang seemed to remember something and could only say with some embarrassment, "Then I can't see you off. Be careful on your way." I walked downstairs, bidding him farewell. From outside the window, I heard my mother-in-law cursing him, berating him for divorcing me for Fiona. She said Fiona's current demeanor was far inferior to my former, three-good wife, self. I also heard Fiona and him arguing. She despised his incompetence. Since leaving me, their situation had gone from bad to worse. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have forced him to divorce me. If she had known, she would have been content to remain his mistress, supported outside. I stood downstairs, rubbing my arms, chilled by the wind, and then walked out of this dilapidated residential area. Let Ethan Jiang solve his own problems. After returning home, I respectfully lit incense for the little demon, thanking it for punishing him so deservedly. In the darkness, I slowly drifted into a dream. In my dream, there was a child baring its fangs and looking towards me, continuously opening its mouth and calling, "Mother." It said it wanted me to give it blood to drink. Its deep, abyssal green eyes were fixed on my neck. I jolted awake from the nightmare, my forehead furrowed. I had performed all the rituals daily. How could there be a backlash? Not allowing myself to dwell on it, I cut open the old wound again, watching each drop of blood seep into the little demon's body. Only after all the blood had been absorbed did I smile with satisfaction. It's fine, I thought, as long as they are punished. In that moment, I completely ignored my friend's warnings. Little demons are insatiable. The more you gain, the more you will have to pay later. It was a bit strange, though. Since I agreed to lend him the money, Ethan Jiang hadn't bothered me again. I also felt very content enjoying my pleasant life. Wasn't it much better to be a rich lady with $1 million in my account? After that day's outing with my friends, we talked about Ethan Jiang again. They all admired my decisiveness and courage and felt a sympathetic anger that fate had brought that pair of scoundrels together. After that meeting, slightly tipsy from drink, I pondered, looking at the IOU in my hand. If Ethan Jiang wasn't contacting me, then I would seek him out first. Let this 100,000 yuan become the final straw to crush him. Perhaps I might even get to savor some sweet revenge. I dialed his number. Clearly, he was surprised to see it was me. "Zayaoya, you finally? Ethan Jiang, when do you plan to pay me back?" My only reply was an endless silence. After a long pause, Ethan Jiang finally recounted what had happened recently. I listened, dumbfounded. It turned out Fiona had given birth, and not only was it a girl, but the baby had dark skin. When the baby was born, everyone was shocked. Fiona, her beauty gone, mumbled, "No way, I only slept with him once." How could this be? She didn't even care about her postpartum pain, collapsing to her knees before Ethan Jiang in the hospital room, then turning to apologize to his mother. "I'm sorry, I didn't know it would be like this. I was wrong. We can still have children, we can still have children." My mother-in-law, usually so quick-witted and sharp-tongued, was now utterly speechless, her entire body trembling, a choked gasp caught in her throat. Then she fainted and was rushed to a room. Ethan Jiang sat outside the emergency room, desperately tearing at his hair, blaming himself for being bewitched by Fiona all this time, and for choosing to divorce me. After his mother was discharged from the hospital, she was diagnosed with hemiplegia, likely confined to bed for the rest of her life. And he hadn't returned home, leaving Fiona alone to care for his sick mother and the dark-skinned baby. Ethan Jiang greedily added, "Zayaoya, can we pretend none of this ever happened? Can we remarry? I'll be truly devoted to you for the rest of my life, there will be no one else, and I won't let my mother bully you anymore." I let out a bitter laugh. What is this supposed to mean? After experiencing hardship, you realize I was the best choice. But I'm no longer the Zayaoya I used to be. "No thanks, our relationship is over. I called you only to get back my 100,000 yuan. Ethan Jiang's voice suddenly turned colder. "Zayaoya, is there really no possibility for us anymore?" I said without hesitation. "What do you think? From the moment Fiona brought her pregnant belly to disrupt our home, and your mother hit me because of her, and you even stopped me asterisk at that point, there was no turning back. I am not a shelter you can run to whenever you please, to come and go as you wish. We've already missed each other. Now let's just go back to our own choices and live better lives." Ethan Jiang said nothing more but made a request. He said he wanted to meet me one last time, to personally pay me the money, and to put a definitive end to our years-long relationship. I set the appointment for tomorrow, and he agreed. Hanging up the phone, I thought of the beautiful memories from before, only to sigh and let them remain mere recollections. Drowsiness mingled with intoxication, and I fell asleep on the sofa without changing. However, I forgot to offer blood to the little demon. A red light continuously flickered around it, especially vivid in the darkness. But this could not wake me. The little demon's deep, alluring eyes quickly fixated on me in the gloomy night. What was astonishing was that its mouth opened and closed, but I couldn't tell what it was saying. If only I had known that the subsequent disasters were all due to my oversight that day, I would never have simply ignored it and fallen asleep. For my own safety, I chose my home as the meeting place. The next day, I woke up to the sound of the doorbell, my eyes still heavy with sleep, looking towards the little demon's altar. Its appearance seemed different from yesterday. Before I could look closer, the doorbell outside grabbed my attention. I went to open the door, and standing outside was a familiar man, Ethan Jiang. In this moment, he had lost his former glamorous, radiant businessman's demeanor. He wore a striped shirt and ragged jeans, his body and hair disheveled, a messy beard and bloodshot eyes as if he hadn't slept for days. I couldn't bear to look anymore, so I let him into the house. Ethan Jiang looked at the furnishings in the house. They seemed more expensive than what they had moved out, but the style wasn't drastically different. If those things hadn't happened, perhaps he would still be living here and might even be a big company CEO. Thinking of this, he clenched his fists, standing by the door looking at me. Zaioya, do you know how much I missed you? Every night I was with her, I called your name. I rubbed my arm. Stop it. That's a bit disgusting now. You two are married, just live your lives well. She might not care about her dignity, but I do. Ethan Jiang grabbed my hand. You still care about me, don't you? If you despise her, I'll divorce her immediately, tell her to take that cursed offspring and get out. I asked him with a mocking expression. Tell me, what would I gain by remarrying you? Pitying you, saving you, or caring for your elderly, paralyzed mother? One day, perhaps even asterisk you, wouldn't I be better off living alone? Having said that, I pulled my hand free from his grasp. I walked further into the house, and he followed me, his eyes scanning the belongings in the room until they landed on the altar where I worshipped the little demon. Oh no, I thought. I forgot to hide it. I unconsciously watched his reaction. He frowned, looking at me. What is this? After all these years, why didn't I know you were doing this? Like a madman, seeing his miserable state, I was utterly satisfied. My mouth moved faster than my brain, blurting out the words I had kept hidden. Nurturing this thing is, of course, for my own good, unlike you. Otherwise, why do you think some people get such deserved retribution? Ethan Jiang seemed to realize something, his face turning pale. Wait, could everything that's happened to me now be your doing? Seeing his expression, a surge of joyful satisfaction, like a successful avenger, filled my heart. I smiled and said, I already told you it has nothing to do with me. Ethan Jiang yelled, lunging at me. You vicious woman! I quickly dodged, causing him to stumble into empty space, but he quickly lunged towards the little demon's altar. Who among us is truly vicious? Didn't you force me to do these things? I looked at his clothes. He didn't even have a wallet. I laughed coldly. Aren't you going to pay me back, my 100,000? Ethan Jiang trembled violently, as if I had stabbed him in the heart. He was so angry that his entire body shook, unable to utter a single word. I disdainfully scoffed. Is this the man I once loved? He's nothing but this. I turned to leave, pulling out my phone, ready to call the police about the property dispute. As I turned, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my abdomen. I looked down and saw a silver knife plunge directly into my lower back from behind, a large pool of blood spreading across my stomach. I trembled, turning back to look at the man. Ethan Jiang's face was filled with fear, his forehead covered in cold sweat, muttering incessantly, You forced me to do it. Zaioya, don't blame me for this. It's all your fault. He had actually used the knife I used to worship the little demon to kill me. My body temperature gradually dropped, the feeling of blood loss instantly making me dizzy. My body swayed, my vision darkened, and then I felt nothing more. Postscript 1, *, a horrific spousal murder occurred in Jiang City's famous affluent district, Ocean View Garden. The victim was stabbed, her artery severed, dying instantly at the scene. The suspect immediately called the police to confess. The case was quickly resolved. It is understood that the suspect is the victim's ex-husband, and the two had argued over trivial matters. The suspect committed the murder in a fit of passion. Currently, this murder case is receiving intense public reaction and has been transferred to the relevant oversight agencies and departments. Please continue to follow our news for updates. News spread across the internet. It was not surprising that everyone unanimously condemned the scumbag husband, but no one seemed to care about the precious life that had been taken. What good was it for the suspect to pay for his crime? The dead cannot be brought back to life. For a period of time, netizens continuously posted comments like, cherish life, stay away from men, stay away from those obsessed with love, and marriage is truly useless. The Jiang City spousal murder became a stone thrown into a calm lake, stirring up fear and anxiety among netizens regarding marriage and men. Postscript 2, * that night, after Zaioya's death, Ethan Jiang went mad. He repeatedly insisted on his innocence at the police station, even forgetting that he was the one who had proactively called the police to confess. When the police returned to the scene to investigate, they found everything still in place, except for an empty corner in the living room, which looked as though something had been worshipped there. But now, the item in the shrine had completely vanished. No matter how much they searched, they couldn't find it, nor could they determine if it was related to the case or what it truly was.